Just making sure the audio works, and I think we are live. Yeah, I can definitely hear the cough in the back. Cool, cool. We are live. Cool, cool. Let me turn the music back on off, and then we will definitely start. Welcome to the Unfiltered podcast, guys. I appreciate you taking your time. Whoa. Yeah, let me do that. Turn the stage off so people don't walk in here. If you're watching this online, I appreciate you taking your time. Thank you for taking your time to
my pleasure.
To sit down and have a conversation with me on the Unfiltered podcast. So please, if nobody knows you, people that are on the audience or people that are watching at home, please tell us a little bit about yourself outside of Horizon first.
Oh, outside Horizon?
Yes.
Well, I don't really have much of an outside Horizon. I spend most of my time in Horizon. I live in Tennessee. I lived here for like maybe 20 years. Moved here when I was 19 for college. Went to art school. I really don't have a life outside of my apartment, except once a week I go hang out with some friends on Saturdays. We have a tabletop gaming group, so we play like tabletop games like RPG and stuff like that.
Cool. So, to tell us a little bit about Inside Horizon, how long have you been in Horizon, or what brought you into VR? Let's start there. What brought you to VR?
Just VR brought me into VR. Like, so ever since the first Kickstarter, Palmer Lucky, I was amazed at the price point that they were shooting for that level of kind of like immersion. So I grew up, I'm a little bit older, I'm like 44. So I grew up around the time where, in the 90s when they were like, VR is the next big thing, right? And there was all sorts of things like Virtua Boy, and you go into the mall and there'd be this big kind of mech warrior thing when helmet came down. It was very rudimentary, like, it looked like Tron. It was not anything like this today. And the hype was that, this is the way it's going to be in the future, right? Like the near future. And it just never happened, right? And so, like, eventually people forgot about it. And then, like, not too long ago, we start making these phones. They start mass producing them. The cost of these types of system on a chip and screens got much cheaper, right? And so then some kid is like, we have the hardware, it's available, it's cheap. I think we could do something with this. So we get some Fresnel lenses, put them in front of your phone, and hobble together the very first, cheap consumer level VR headset. Like, and that idea was amazing, right? And it propelled VR back into the limelight, and everyone got excited about it again. And then Facebook bought Oculus, and people were all of a sudden very like, oh, wait a second, what? No, you're going to ruin it. And I was not one of those people. I was like, you guys don't understand. Like, this isn't to be a niche thing. Facebook's going to save VR's future, right? Like, and like at every turn, like, I have to give props to Zuckerberg, because like the decisions he's been making have been against the better recommendations of the people around him. But he did it anyway. Like, Palmer Lucky wanted to go like, high-end headset, like, push the envelope, right? PC side, like it's going to be twice as expensive, but twice as good. And Mark wanted this to be something for everyone. He wanted to get VR into as many hands as possible. So he's like, no, we're going to do we're going to do a mobile chipset. It's going to be lower powered. It's not going to be as good, but it will give people a taste, and they're going to want more. And so, first with the Quest, right, was the first iteration of that. And then with the Quest 2 really kind of popped and broke through a little bit. And I think it was a good decision, because I think that if they had gone that route of higher end, just for PC enthusiasts, that we wouldn't be having this conversation. Like, VR would be on its way out,
Yeah. I
So I
definitely
think it was
agree
a
with
really
that.
good decision that, Facebook spearheaded the whole movement. Only a company like that could have done that.
And they have done a great job so far. Talking about the new headset, did you get the new headset?
I did. It came today, a day late, but not a dollar short. So I had about maybe about 30 minutes to kind of check it out. Uh, the pass through is what it's all about.
Right.
And that's what I didn't get a chance to play any Pop One or any games or anything like that.
Hmm.
But I did get a chance to check out the color pass through. It's a bit higher resolution. It's not like mind blowing. It's not like I don't know what's real anymore. Like,
Right.
you can tell it's a pass through, but the design where you can see all the way around the edges, right? It kind of sits up on your forehead, off your face, and you can see, unlike this, I have a facial interface here, so it's kind of blocking out all the light. It's not
Hmm.
so on the Pro, and I
Right.
kind of like it, or at least I like the option of that because I can look at my phone. I'm aware of my surroundings. I'm grounded, and the pass through is seamless. Like, I see my arm in real life in my chest looking down, and then when I look up to VR, like it just flows right into it. It feels very much like I'm just in my apartment, and then I could throw up different screens, link to my desktop and get some work done. And then I think in December they're supposed to be shipping the full facial interface.
Hmm.
Um, but because the resolution on the screen is a higher fidelity and there's a better contrast ratio, uh, and the optics are way better. I
Well,
noticed immediately when I put my old headset on, which is what I'm wearing right now. Uh, and it could just be because this is like smudgy, but like the Fresnel lenses are not as crisp and clear as those pancake lenses.
yeah. It's so crazy that the new headset's way heavier than the Quest 2, but it feels so light in your head.
Oh yeah,
I
it does
have it
feel light
right
in my
now.
hand.
It
Yeah.
does, and the controllers are they feel so good. I think
Oh, it feels
it's a
premium.
must.
It really does.
Yeah, I
Like,
think it's a
okay.
person like us, I guess, that spend a lot of time here in Horizon or VR. It's worth spending those $1,500.
Well,
Because
I don't think it's a thing. It's a headset for consumers in general. Like,
I agree with
at the
that.
Quest 2, you get a lot of bang for that buck. And there's diminishing returns depending on what you're using your headset
Right.
for. We're both professionals of VR, like we both work in here. It makes sense. And if you're an enthusiast, that's also another reason to get it. You're just excited about new technology, you want to be the first. But for the average consumer, like, I think you should stick with the Quest 2. Next year, the Quest 3 is going to come out. It's going to have a lot of those features. Not all of them, but it's going to take a lot from what they learn about, the Quest
From
Pro and
this one, yeah,
how people
for
use it.
sure.
And yeah, but it'll be at a much cheaper price point.
Cheaper price, yeah. And that's the goal of Meta, right? Have as many headset for everybody as cheap as
Yeah,
hell.
yeah.
I think this is the future of gaming, to be honest, and doing business too. Um, I know it's very new right now, but later in a couple of years, it's just gonna be the new thing that everybody's going to be doing. Like the phones. When the phones came out, everybody was like, "What is this?" Not everybody have phones. So VR is the future of
Yeah.
everything.
And I remember, excuse me, like gaming on phones was kind of a joke. Like, that's not real
Yep.
gaming, but it's not so much the case anymore. And like, for me, uh, I haven't played a pancake game in years, like on a flat screen. And, you know, mostly it's because I'm old now and I can't see as well. And it's so much easier for me to play interactive games here where I have like a sense of depth, you know?
Right.
Um, but yeah, like, I do think it's the future of gaming in general. There'll always be a place for like pancake games, as they're called. And I think that place is going to be in VR. Like
Yeah,
you'll
I
be
think so
in
too.
VR and playing on a big screen, a flat
Yep.
screen game.
So you are a legend here in Horizon. You've been here since the beta, am I right?
Yes, I've been here since the beta.
and Horizon have come so far along from beta. If we're still in beta, but it have come very, very
Well, the
long way.
closed beta.
Yeah, closed beta. Yeah, you were in the closed beta. Um, Tell us a little bit what you have seen from closed beta to open beta now. Where do you see Horizon in a couple of years?
Well, I mean, like, when we first got in here, there wasn't snapping. Can imagine trying to build something today without snapping.
Oh
Just
yeah.
hold your breath and try and get it level. There was no texture maps at all. The scripting has gotten much more robust. They the devs have listened to us in a lot of ways and like added a lot of really great script
Features.
blocks.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things too I've noticed about like meta in general, and also specifically the devs of Horizon is, they're constantly updating and iterating and updating. Like when I first got the Quest 2, like 2 years ago, it was not nearly as capable as it is today. By comparison.
Mm,
And now I've kind of grown. They've kind of painted themselves into a corner because now I expect Meta to do this, come out with a product and just constantly improve it through
Proving it,
software.
yeah. And they are
Um,
doing that.
yeah,
Even though we get a little bugs, but they work so hard on it. I think Meta
they
is
do.
doing a
They really
great
do.
job.
And
So
I'm really excited for the next 2 years too. I mean, there's lots of stuff in the pipeline, and there's lots of stuff coming down the line. There's stuff that's inevitable, right?
right,
You look at some of the other VR apps, like social apps, stuff that they have. There's gonna be an equivalent, like and just looking at the way like Meta wants like commerce to work and how people interact. There's lots of things coming down the line but you have to do these things in order, right? The
right,
proper order. And
right.
then there's lots of things too that require lots of thought about how you're going to implement that, so you do
Yeah,
it right. Um, the less you have to retread and backtrack, the better when you want to
yeah,
move this fast. So,
for sure,
so
for
a lot of
sure.
the stuff they really think about exactly how to go about doing certain things, and that's why it takes so long.
Yeah, that is true. If Meta is listening right now, watching this podcast, is there a feature that Meta or Horizon, and just to say Horizon does not have, um, and something that you want and you think it will make this app better? What feature would that be?
There's lots of stuff. I would really like the ability to, from a script block, turn a player. I think that, and maybe also be able to from a script, like be able to like tell what direction someone's pressing on the thumbsticks.
Mm,
I think that would be nice. Like if there's a
yeah.
button on the controller, I think it needs to be referenced in the scripts. If there's
Well,
like a little checkbox in like like a submenu of an object or object group, it needs to be accessible from a script, right? Everything
yeah.
that you can do to an object or with a controller should be accessible from a script.
That's true. I read on Discord that they're gonna be changing the button functionality on the
I have
controllers.
comments about this. Yeah, I
Oh,
think I
you
know what you're
do?
gonna say. Yeah.
Yes, please tell me. I want to know.
Well, no, you
What
tell
do you
me,
think?
so I know
No, I
for
was about to
sure
be
that's
like, it's a. Do you think it's a smart move for moving? Because everybody's gonna have to get used to a new feature that they're gonna do. You're not gonna be able to jump with this drumstick no more. Then we have to press
okay.
A. What do you think
So
about
that's
that?
okay. I do have opinions on that. I think it's a bad idea to revert to for lots of reasons. Like the main reason that I kind of like adhered to a little bit on the other side, like, well, you'd save wear and tear, right, on that
Right.
stick, and then people wouldn't drift as much. It was like, well, I don't think that's causing a lot of the drift because I drift just as much with my left controller as I ever did with my right.
That's true
Um,
because when I was drifting with my Quest 2, it was my left hand. It was not my
yeah.
right.
And so, like, for me, like, being in VR, when I first got into VR, I would have had a different opinion. I would, because I'm a gamer, so I was used to hitting the A button or something
Right.
equivalent. And so, like, pressing the stick in to jump, this is unnatural and I don't like it. But it
Right.
only felt unnatural because my brain had been trained a different way because I grew up a certain way. Um, but really, this is the ideal uh, for VR because you can maneuver in air without ever taking your thumb off of it.
Yes.
And if you really think about it, doing this, I'm pressing a button and now I'm pressing a button. I'm just pressing a button. Like it's
Right.
all up here. Anyone who thinks that they should switch it to A, it's just in your head. They're just
Right.
buttons. And like what it would do is maybe the people who are used to that will do better at it, right? They'll get a little more higher score and clash, right? But like the thing is like a lot of people are going to be in Horizon. Not all of them are gamers, and so
Right.
really you should train everyone on the best possible control. It's kind of like the controller versus mouse and keyboard for PC.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know a lot of people that grew up on consoles. All they know is the controller. They're really good at it, and you bring over to PC, right? And they want to use a controller because that's what they know. It's like you're you're not going to beat anyone with that. Everyone playing
Yeah.
mouse and keyboard, it's a superior control, right?
Right.
Once you get
Right.
used to it. Like, so the learning curve is a little bit higher, right?
Yeah.
But once you learn it, it's superior.
Right.
Um, and I think that the A button would just be a crutch. And also, of course, what if I have programmed the A button to do something else in the script?
That's
What
what I
now?
was gonna say because a lot of people are using those the code blocks to press A. I know they said they're gonna try to fix that on the script to automatically fix, but we know there's gonna be a lot of bugs, a lot of
Yeah.
worlds down. I think it's a very bad move that they're doing that. But I
Yeah.
mean, they said, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I don't know if they're doing it. I've just heard rumors about it. I really should check the Discord
They are doing
forums.
it. They said
Sorry,
they're
Jeff.
going to let us know like 4 weeks before when they're
Oh
gonna
no,
publish it.
no, I got to go
So
talk to
it's
some people.
coming.
Like, and then there was people were floating the idea of giving the option, one or the other. And it's like, well, that's just as bad because the
Yeah,
reason
supposedly
you want things to be consistent
on the
across the
beginning they're gonna
platform.
give that option, but after a while they're just gonna make everybody go through that
I don't know.
process.
I need to go to the Discord and look at their rationale and see if
I
it
think you
agrees
should.
with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's a
Um,
very bad move they're doing that. But
Yeah,
hey,
yeah, I would disagree with it. But if they have a legit good reason, then I'll give it to them. I'm very open to these things. But as it stands now, that would be my opinion on
I
it.
mean, yeah, that's what they said is that they want to make it universal because everybody out of the consoles they press A to jump, so they want to be as other consoles to be
Well,
on the
that's
same.
that's almost like, you have a first person shooter come out on PC, and then you say
Hmm.
it only works with Xbox controllers. It doesn't work with mouse and keyboard. And then you
Yeah,
think about what you just said. And
yeah, it's true. That's definitely true.
it's
All
because
right.
more people know this,
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's no, it's true though. But we'll see when the time come, right? How many worlds have you made here in Horizon? I know you have a lot.
Um,
I know it's more than five.
well, if you look up, like, well, I don't know if you could see it, but when I look it up, like on like a door, it says I have like over 200 and something worlds, but it's also counting collaborations as well.
Couple items, yeah. But
So I have my own personal worlds that I've built either by myself or with a couple of friends. And then there's Inspire worlds that I've worked on. We just had Cheetos come out and Target.
uh,
And,
yeah,
there's
that's a
there's a
nice world
string
by
of
the way.
those. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Um, what's your favorite world that you have work on that is public? It could be for your personal builds or your company that you
There's a
have created
couple
here.
that I have a strong affinity for. Oh, hey, J Stack. I'm just gonna. There's my friend in the audience there.
Hey guys, I appreciate you guys here. Thank you very much.
I I have affinity, like a strong affinity for two of my personal worlds. One of them is over there. You put a kind enough to put a door in here for that, and that's
Yeah.
Train Destiny. Um, One of my earlier worlds, one of my more popular ones, and then Wand and Broom was
Mm,
was something that's close to me. It's a world where you can fly around on a broomstick, and
broomstick.
Yeah.
Cool. How
And I'm
did
always
the
updating these things and, iterating.
you have? I think you have to update every. If you're a builder, you have to keep up updating your worlds because if not, people are gonna just stop coming. But how did you came up with the idea of the train world? Because I've been there. The details that you have put in there and how it's built, it's awesome. You
Oh,
feel
thank you
like
so much.
you're definitely on a train.
I appreciate that.
How did that work came about?
Well, first off, let me say that there's no meshes in that world. Like I've stopped updating it, so it's like as is now, for the time being anyway. But it came about mostly because, excuse me, when I
Mm-hmm.
first came in Horizon, I was very underwhelmed. Like, I was part of the uh, in the closed beta, and like there wasn't as many people around as there are today, and so like there's just empty worlds, and I didn't really talk to anybody, and the worlds themselves weren't full of life, right? They didn't have a lot of movement going on or animation. And so I made a point in my early builds to like incorporate stuff like that, put birds flying in the sky, like little things like little fireflies flying around, something to give it life,
Mm-hmm.
and so I equated movement with life, right? um and so I was like, well, what if I just had like everything moving, you know and I was thinking about doing a train for a long time, and I made a platform, and I stood on it, and I had programmed a single tree to like go from one end to another, and I stood on the platform and waited for it to go by to see if it felt like I was moving, right? Instead of a
Mm-hmm.
tree going by me, I was going by it.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of did. So then I was like, well, let me add some more trees. Let me put some walls up and some windows. And then I was in there and I had like a little kind of gray box train car mocked up. And that was it. Like a few trees going by, and it felt like I was moving. If I had some friends in to kind of hang out and tell me their experience, what they felt, and I went from there. And I love it when people come in the world and they don't know that they're not moving. There's the whole world moving around them,
Right.
until you jump off the train, and then the secret's revealed.
Yeah.
Um, and that was kind of a necessary thing, so you could actually like pick things up and walk around without feeling that jitter.
Mm-hmm. What's the like? What was when you were building that world or recently? What's the biggest problem that you have to make to build that world? Like,
Um, I guess at that time, I didn't know too much about scripting. I had started delving into scripting. Wand and Broom was my first big scripting world. But at that time, I had hand animated everything. So like all the trees and stuff going by and the parallax of those trees. So as it gets further back, it goes slower. Was all done by hand.
hmm,
Um, and I just kind of animated until it felt right. And there was another world that I was going to work on as a speeder bike world that I never got around to finishing. And I was talking to Lakes, Vidu, and
hmm,
he he was saying, "Oh, you could do it this way." And he wrote. We were in my train world, and he wrote a script for it. And it was at the time it was a simple move script, like move by, and then move
hmm,
back, right? And so that script's still in there. The majority of it is still hand animated, but like I think I have like two trees running on Lakes' script simply because it added that variety. So like, if you have a thing going by, even if it's very long, it'll repeat. But if I have like
right.
one tree that's scripted and it's slightly off, when they go by, they'll look like they're in sync. But when it
Yeah.
repeats, it'll be in a different kind of place. And so
Yeah.
I left it in there, even though I didn't need it. And I never did my speeder bike world. I did make a Star Wars world though. I just never released it. It's an indoor world
Hmm.
that I've rebranded because I'm trying to get away from IP stuff after the blasters was taken
Yeah.
down. But like it's going to be called Forest Moon, and it's basically It's not indoor,
Okay.
but
So it's
it's a forest
outdoor.
moon.
Oh,
Yeah, I
can't wait
can't
for that.
say that it is anything like indoor or like
Are
Star
you
Wars or
planning
anything.
are you planning to publish that anytime soon, or are you still
I
working
mean,
on it?
like if you had asked me like, a year and a half ago that question, I would have said, yeah, next week we're publishing it. In fact, I think
Mhm.
Oculus asked me that a year and a half ago. Um, and that's usually my answer is 1 to 2 weeks, but then like it's been a year and a half. I haven't published it.
So
So
you're
like
putting a
I have
lot
tons
of
of
work on
projects like
that.
that. Uh, usually, well, it's about 99% done. It's just a matter of like getting in there and then like finishing up. But I have like half a dozen stuff, personal worlds that are like 80% done, 90% done. That finding time for this is difficult.
Time flies by here, especially when you're in Edinburgh, right?
Oh, it
Times
does.
fly. Yeah. When people visit your world, what do you want them to take their experience with them?
Oh, I excuse me. I,
It's
I
okay.
I want it to be a memorable experience. I want them to have fond memories. I want like them to meet someone or have like, an experience that they'll remember or cherish, right? Like
Hmm.
I know that's sounds like a lot, like a cherished moment in one of my worlds, but that would be wonderful. And I know I have some cherished moments that I think about, like, oh, I remember that time I was hanging out with my friend and we were at this place in this world. We were talking about this, you know. I want people to have those kinds of experiences where
Yeah.
becomes a part of their past,
Yeah.
right? Instead of just some game or some world, it's a part of their past. When they were in the train and they had that time or met that person that became a lifelong friend.
What's the longest like session bill or scripted you have ever done in one session though?
Like you mean like
In
in a build
in one
session?
world, like you stayed for as long as you were like, I need to finish this, I need to finish this script or bill. What's the longest you've been
Oh,
in a
I don't
world
know.
in one session?
Um,
Just an estimate.
like I don't think it would be. In fact, I don't think it would be healthy to stay in one session for too long. What I typically do is when I'm working, like I've been in for 12 hours straight before, but I will take like breaks, and I don't
Hmm.
mean a break from VR. Like I'll go hang out with my friends for like 30 minutes or an hour, or I'll go hang out on the train to kind of like decompress, or I'll go
Hmm.
work on something that's like not as stressful, like just building something. Um, and then I'll go back, right? Or I'll work on something else. But like, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to just sit in front of a problem that's frustrating you for like hours on end. You need to like
So,
step away.
I'll take a guess, like I guess an hour, and then you just take a break.
Oh no, no, it's more than an hour.
More
Like
than
my
that.
typical build sessions are more than an hour. I'm just thinking I haven't been building for like 5 hours straight or something like that.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. So if a person that just hop on Horizon and want to have visit your world and they see like especially the trainers say, "Wow, this is an amazing world," and they want to learn how to build, how what would you tell them? Where should they start building?
Well, I mean, what I used to say, I mean, there's lots more resources now than there
Definitely.
was
Yep.
like even a year ago. In part thanks to my friend Lakes, and Meta themselves as well. I'm still gonna say the same thing though. Like first, before you do anything, because this is what works for me, is I like to delve in, right? So what I did was my first weekend, my first day in, I didn't look at any tutorials. I just opened up a blank world and then I looked at all the little tools and then figured out what they did systematically. What does this do?
Hmm.
What does this do? Um, and that's how I would learn to build, because you build a solid foundation for yourself,
Right.
because when you figure it out, it like sticks in your head a little bit
Yeah.
better. Um, and so I would say that would be someone doing that would have more of a solid foundation. And then once you feel comfortable with the tools, then you can go to look at those tutorials or seek out like a mentor or someone that's been in for a while that might know some tips and tricks and like the quirks of Horizon. Um, for scripting, though, I don't think you could do that. I think you'd best be served by like looking at tutorials, or better yet, finding a mentor or someone. Um, and it doesn't even have to be a master level. Like it could just be someone who knows a little bit more than you, right? And then they can
Right.
teach you something.
Right.
And just working your way
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, definitely. There's if you want to learn, there's definitely sources where you can get. A lot of creators here in Horizon are willing to help you if you want to learn, but if you just want to waste time, then I guess there's no time for that here in Horizon because a lot of people are. Time is pressure, like I was saying earlier. Times fly by so fast
It
here.
really does. I wish they were
Yeah,
like, 30-hour days, but then I'd
I
fill
wish
them
so
up.
too.
And then I'd wish they were 40
You
hour
want more?
days. Yeah.
Yeah, for
That's why I
sure.
told Mark when he asked me, like, what do I not like about Horizon? And I was like, I didn't know what to say because I was being recorded too. And I don't want to say that to the Zuck,
Yeah,
like, here's what I hate about your platform. But like, of course, it was capacity. We'd like more capacity on all fronts. But then I paused for a moment. I was like, but if you gave us more capacity, we would max it out too, and then ask for more. We'd never be
yeah,
satisfied. And there's
yeah.
something about the limitation that breeds creativity, right? And it's something I really like. When I see someone who's made something out of primitives in a really creative way, I'm like, that's a really good design. It's elegant, right? You
Yeah.
saved on geo, but you got the essence of the object. It emotes. Like I know what that is, and I like that kind of thing.
How was that experience being with Zach on Horizon with video, right?
All right, say that again. I'm sorry.
I say, how was that experience recording a live show with the person that have made this world? I mean, not
Uh,
this world, but the app. I'm sorry,
Oh, with Mark,
Mark. Yeah,
Mark
Mark.
Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, Zach.
Well, I'll tell you, I actually told a story earlier today. So I was asked to like go to like a kind of a meet and greet with the devs, and
Hmm.
like, it's like a fireside chat, just hanging out, nothing formal. And I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds really cool. And then like maybe a few days before, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, Mark might be there. And at the time, I had already done like Wendy's verse and stuff like that. And they had told me that he might show up for the opening and stuff. And I waited, and
Hmm.
he didn't. And so like I was like, yeah, yeah, whatever. If he shows up, that's cool, but not. I'm not expecting him.
Yeah.
But then I get there, and then Mark's there, and then like they tell me like, oh, by the way, like Mark's gonna be asking you these questions, and it's gonna be interview kind of style, and we're filming it. And I'm like, what? I didn't know any of this. I was wholly unprepared. Um, and like, yeah, I told Lakes I wasn't nervous, but I was totally nervous, like, cause like
I mean, I think
I,
anybody will.
yeah. And it's something too that I've found works for me, um, in meetings, stuff like that. And interviews like this is like, I just don't prepare at all. I just kind of trust that me being myself will be enough.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. That's the important thing. Be yourself, and everything will be good.
Hopefully, it works out 50% of the time, but
It does. I think it does. I mean, you have done a great job as a builder and a scripter. Are you more as a builder or a scripter here in Horizon?
I I think I'm about the same on both fronts. Like,
Okay.
I'm certainly there's more gifted builders out there. Like there's some amazing designers in Horizon. There's definitely more gifted like scripters out there. There's some amazing scripters. Um, I approach it like I need to know everything about Horizon, because I was building myself initially,
Mm-hmm.
um, but then leaning on friends. Like if there's anything you don't know how to do, you just ask, and
Right.
like I'm really bad about that because I I hate asking for help, But to really, I need to get over it, and so does everyone else. Like the best thing you can do if you're having trouble with a script or with a build is just ask a friend, like, hey, could you help me out with this? Um, and then that could unburden you, and then you could focus on what you enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. So okay, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, and whatever comes to your head,
Yes,
just let us know, okay?
I'll just.
All right, cool. So are you lefty or right? You're
I
right with your
am.
left or right?
I'm right-handed. Yeah,
What's your favorite color?
blue, like kind of like a
Hmm.
gray, light blue.
If you could live anywhere, where would it be?
Um, I don't know. Here is fine.
So you live in Horizon for the rest of your
Oh,
life?
you could take that here wherever you want. I was actually
Oh,
referring to where
okay.
I currently live, but like
Okay, okay. I
I
thought
get
you were
really
here in Horizon.
complacent with where I am. So like if I was anywhere, I'd be like, here's fine.
Okay, cool. Are you a coffee or a tea person?
Oh, coffee, but I like tea just
Coffee.
fine. But I drink coffee
But
every day.
coffee every day. What's one thing that you're really bad at?
Oh, that's a good question. What am I bad at? Answering this question probably.
All right. So what's one thing that you're really good at?
Um, I don't know. I don't really consider myself really good at anything. I consider myself passable at most things.
Okay. What's your favorite holiday?
Uh, Christmas. I think Christmas
Christmas.
is my
Yep.
favorite.
How would your friends describe you?
I don't know. You're gonna have to ask them.
Okay. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, okay, that's a good one. So like, it's a toss up between Rushmore and Buffalo '66 and Braveheart.
Okay. What's three items that you would take with you if you were going to live in an island forever?
Oh, I had to live there, so I can't
Yep.
take like a sat phone and say, "Hey, pick me up off this island."
Nope, you had to
Okay, I
live
have
there.
to live
You're only
there.
allowed to take three items with you.
Okay, I'll take a Starlink satellite.
Smart move.
Yeah. Is this a desert island?
Yes,
Or
this
is there?
sir. Yep.
So
This sir.
there's no food or anything. I'm gonna need a replica. Can I have fictional things? Can I have a replicator?
I guess you can. Yeah.
Okay. Star Trek replicator. I'm done. I don't need a third thing.
Cool. That was the question I had for you. Now we're gonna talk a little bit about your company. So a company that
Okay.
you have grown up, you have made from scratch, to my knowledge, from what I've read online. You have started that company from scratch here, uh, in Horizon. Tell us about a little bit about your company, Spire Create Labs.
Sure. Inspire Create Labs. We do world builds, mostly for corporate. We also delve in other like realms too, like Spark AR and stuff like that when the need arises. We were started in January of this year, and so like we've almost made it through a whole year,
Right.
and we're super excited about the anniversary coming up.
I
And it's
guess
been a
throwing a
wonderful
party.
ride. I don't know. That's actually a good idea.
I think you
Actually,
guys should definitely
I
throw a
think we might
party, a
should.
Horizon party,
Yeah,
and I hope I get an invitation because I would definitely be there.
yeah, that's a good idea. I'll mention it to Matthias. And
Definitely.
like,
So you go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, go
Oh, I
ahead.
was
I
just
was
gonna
gonna ask
say,
another question.
I like telling the story of how we all kind of came together
I
as a
was about to
company.
ask you. So, is there multiple founders of the company? Am I right?
Yes.
So yeah, please
Sorry,
tell us a
I
little
have a
bit of the
bad
story.
cough still.
It's okay. So,
Yeah. So like, there's five of us, founders of the company. It started. Let me start at the beginning. So like, it's also how we got tied up with the soapstone. So I met UA like day one. I happened to be hanging out in the Oculos's like hub world with like scripting, learn how to script and learn how to do this, and they were like, oh, we need someone to teach a scripting class, and do we have any volunteers? And I was like, oh, I guess I'll do that, and I volunteered, and then I took on two students that want to learn about scripting and specific projectiles because that was the contest that was coming up at that time. And one of them was Unemployed Alcoholic. I don't remember the other guy because I never saw him again. But like Unemployed, took to it and was really interested and told me about his dream of creating a comedy club in Horizon. And I was like, you go do it. Yeah, you can build anything here. Um, I showed him how to script up his like projectile, and he was a quick learner. And then maybe about, I don't know, 2 weeks later, he invited me to his comedy world, right? And he showed me around, and I was like, oh, this is great. It was pretty good for a first world build. And he had gotten some friends, Sensei Jay helped him out a little bit. And apparently, he had met Solaris separate from me and shown her his world. So they're walking through it, and he's like, "What do you think?" And she's very honest. She she
Cheers. I have met
said,
her before.
"Yeah," she said it looks like a child made it. Um, and please let me build this for you. So she contacted me and was like, "Hey, John, do you want to help me build this comedy club uh, for unemployed?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so we started to work on that. And at that time, it was Gutties because
Hmm.
UA had partnered with Gutties to bring it all to life. And about like, I can't remember if it was after we published or before we published, but like at some point, Matthias got involved.
Hmm.
And it was at that point, like, so UA had met us all separately, independently. Um, and we're all hanging out in Gutties, like, oh, you're here too. You're working on this world too. And Matthias approached me and Solaris and was like, I think I've been thinking about this a long time. And I think now, like this moment, is the perfect time to start a company in Horizon. And I want you guys to start with me. I like
Hmm.
and me and Solaris were like, yeah, like there was no question, like, yeah, let's do it. And then like we went and found another person that we felt had some corporate experience dealing with other businesses, and we onboarded him, and he was a original founder. His name's Yoda in here,
Hmm.
uh, and and then we had Matthias's friend, childhood friend, was a lawyer, and so that was the initial five.
Hmm.
Um, and it just went from there. It was kind of rocky the first like few months, taking on little jobs, and we were we were in the red for a while, but then it started to turn around, and then like once the ball was rolling, it just never stopped,
Right.
and it snowballed. It got bigger and bigger as it rolled.
And you guys have worked. Are you guys still working with the Substone, keeping it
Oh
updated, or it
yeah,
was just
yeah.
the beginning?
He's not Inspire's first client, but in spirit he is, since Inspire was basically born out of Gutties, which is the Substone. So we've
Hmm.
maintained a great relationship with UA and continue to this day. Like back and forth, we help him out and he helps us out, and it's really a great partnership.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So it's five of you guys that started that company and have come
Mhm.
a long way. Um, so you guys do building, I mean, build and scripting, and I saw on the website. I went to the website. You guys do video, too.
Mhm.
That's do you and your website. You guys have six worlds. The first one is Substone, Wendy's. How does the Wendy partnership? How did that came about? Did you guys reach to Wendy's, or Wendy's reach at you?
So at that time, like Wendy's was our first big corporate client. And at that time, I had just come off working on a project with Meta. And so like they knew who I was, and they had been approached by Wendy's.
Hmm.
And basically they were like, well, yeah, we know some people. And they contacted me and it's like, John, how do you feel about working on Wendy's? And I was like, well, it sounds great and all, but like, it's not just me. I have a company now, right? Like,
Hmm.
so, and in our contract, that if I'm offered anything personally, I have to offer it to them first, right? And they
Right.
they can refuse it, and then I can go do it and do freelance
Right.
stuff that way. And so I explained this to them, and they're like, no, actually, that's perfect. We prefer working with a company. It's like, okay, wonderful. Well, it's a good thing I have a company. Um, and and so like, like I brought the Wendy's to Inspire, and that was our first big client, and it really got us kind of like in the swing of things, how to do all this stuff. Because we're all new to this at this
Right,
time. Like, and we're playing it by ear, we're listening, we're adjusting, it's been a process like learning and communication.
for
And we're
sure.
always getting better, and it's always in flux, but it all
Yeah.
started with that.
That's a nice word, by the way. I did give him my chicken nuggets from there. So,
Oh, wonderful.
um, you guys have worked with big companies outside of Horizon,
Mhm.
and you guys have worked with creators here in Horizon. You guys did work on the Rico boxing world. Am I
Hmm.
right?
That was one of our early worlds. Yeah.
Oh, really? Um, how is that experience working with a big company and versus working it with a creator that's here 24/7, I guess? How is that experience? Is it work? Is it which is
There's
easier
a
to work
lot
with?
more meetings. There's a lot more meetings. Like half of my day is meetings. Like, so half of my 12-hour day is meetings and then
With the
lunch.
corporate or
Yeah, just all
yeah.
sorts of meetings, like either internal meetings, meetings like with heads of department or something, and meetings with corporate, and like there's tons of meetings. And then after all that, usually I try and schedule those things earlier. Then I can come in and work on stuff in Horizon.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like so the past like 8 months have been really, really like intense, as far as my work schedule, my sleep schedule. And it does wear on you. Like, it's not sustainable. So like I would recommend people like, have certain cutoffs, like,
Yeah.
nothing after 8 or whatever. But make sure you get more than 5 hours of sleep
Yeah, for
every
sure.
night.
Sleep is a
Yeah.
must then. um if somebody's like, let's say a lot of people are creators, I'm gonna say a lot of creators here are starting their small businesses. If people of creators want to start building worlds for outside companies, where should they go? I know you said Meta gave you Wendy's, but is that the only way that they can make the big money here in Horizon?
I don't think so. Like I think, building your own personal brand is important. Like in talking to people and making connections, right?
Right.
So like if someone were like, oh, we need someone to build this, who's good in Horizon, they're gonna reach out. Like, I was approached by one company relatively recently, like personally, like because they found me on Instagram. They like, we
Mm,
look, that's how, and they told me, like, I asked them specifically, like, how did you find me? Like, and it's like, oh, we just looked on Instagram, and you were the one that, like, we looked through your stuff and we're like, we wanted you. And I was like,
hmm.
so that's a major thing, like building your own personal brand and getting noticed. And you can get noticed by like bigger companies. Like a bunch of my friends have been snatched up by, companies like Inspire, like that do the same type of thing where they build worlds in here. Like Born Studios has employed a bunch of Horizoners, and it's all like, they've built up their portfolio, worlds
Right.
they built up their following, and they have good like recommendations from friends, right? Um, and that's it. Like, I contribute a lot of my success to a man named John Burn Buns in here, because like
Mm,
he first introduced me to some people from Meta. Like my first big job in here, like was from him. Like he was like, "Hey, I got this gig working on this world. They said I could bring someone on board." And I was like, "You were the first person I thought of." And I was like, "Oh, wonderful, thank you."
that's
And then
nice.
yeah, yeah. And then so like, because of my relationship with John, we kind of built up together and knew each other's styles and our abilities. He was like, I want him, to be a part of this project that I'm on.
Hmm.
And then I met people at Meta, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. Then we created the company. It's like everything that's happened has happened because I just kept doing what I was doing, right?
Yeah.
There's no guarantees for success, but you can increase the odds of success the more you
Yeah, for
play,
sure.
right?
Yeah,
If you throw the dice and you get a one, you don't just walk away. Just pick up the dice and throw them again.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's true though.
Eventually, you might get something that
Higher
you
than a
like.
one. Yep.
There's no guarantee, of course.
Right.
Like, but like, you definitely increase the odds by playing more often.
For sure. For sure. Well, I just want to say I appreciate taking your time to have a conversation with me. But I have to ask this question. You don't have to say an estimate exactly how much, but is it what's the biggest paycheck you have received for building a world here in Horizon?
$100 billion.
100 billion. We got a billionaire, the first billion Horizon creator here, guys. You've heard it first. Exclusive.
All right. Can I do this?
I
Oh, sorry. I stole your laptop.
It's all good. I appreciate you taking your time. Thank you very much. Where can anybody find you? The social medias.
Oh, where can you find me? Well, I have an Instagram. It's not much, but it's me. It's TheJohnMcclay. Pretty easy to find. On Facebook, I have a Facebook page that I post from a lot. It's not the John McClay. It's just John McClay. But then there's another one that's my personal site. So don't friend request me there. Like just unless I know you, then I guess friend request me.
That's
But
it,
like,
yeah.
but yeah, the other one's my page, like I don't know how you say it, like business page, I guess.
The business page, yeah, for your
Yeah.
company.
Well, no, well, we have a separate one for my company. This is just my personal one.
Or just your personal.
Hmm.
I I appreciate taking your time again. Thank you very much. Anything else you want to talk or say to people that are watching or here in the audience or on YouTube?
Oh, I don't know. Hey,
Does
hey,
anybody have
audience.
questions? If you do have a question, hop on. Just come to the mic. Wait, let me open the mic. If
Oh, there's
anybody have a
Yoda right
question,
there.
Yoda,
Yoda,
we
do
were
you have a
just talking
question?
about you.
Yeah.
Questions do I have for Mr. McClay? What's your next asset you're going to be releasing? I know that's really cool that you've been releasing things like the motorcycle and the DeLorean and all these other things. I'd really love to know what maybe some of the things that you have in mind that are going to be up.
There's a couple of things I have in mind. There's been a trend of like, so there's been a trend of me releasing something and then they come out with a better asset in the asset store that's the exact same thing. So I'm like, what can I release that they're not just gonna make an asset? Maybe like an anime girl, I was thinking, or like, a anatomy study, statue, that type of thing. Like really intricate.
Okay,
So something
cool.
like that I think is next in line.
It's next. I can't wait for that.
Cool. Thank you.
Does anybody else have a question here in the audience or anybody that's watching on YouTube? Does anybody have a question? Cool. If no questions, I appreciate taking your time. Thanks for sitting almost an hour with me. Sorry, my laptop. I think I like you.
It's sticky, yeah.
Don't drop. Please don't drop it. It's very
Oh no,
expensive. It
no.
was
Yeah. Look how
free.com.
thin it is. It's very
Yeah, it's
thin.
the Mac. It's the new Mac. They're gonna drop
Oh, it's the
in
Air?
2025. That
Yeah.
year.
Nice.
All right. Thank you very much again. Thank you for watching. We see you next Wednesday here on Unfiltered. Every Wednesday, and on Thursdays we have the Meta Few, where you can have a chance to win real money. I'm over here moving my hands to my real life, but
Yeah.
you can't see it. But yeah, thank you again.